In this episode of Feverdream Café, what is the goal of MAGA politics? The new generation of Republicans. Shared struggles of the US and Europe and Trump's presidency. Welkom terug bij Koortsdroom Café, waar wij de waanzin van de dag bespreken. En ik ga gelijk weer over naar het Engels. Het spijt me jongens, ik weet het, als nationalist moet je gewoon je eigen taal spreken. Maar wij hebben Amerikanen over de vloer die bij ons ook in de podcast zitten. Dus vandaar dat ik nu overga op het Engels. Welcome to Feverdream Café. I'm here with...
Frederik Jansen.
With...
Massimo Etalle.
Iem McMath.
Don Valencia.
You forgot your name, Don.
Alex Jaros.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here. You're from the New York Young Republicans Club. Please take the time to explain briefly what the New York Young Republican Club is and why you're in Amsterdam. Maybe, Ian, you want to start first?
It's my pleasure. The New York Young Republican Club is the oldest and largest such organization in the United States. It was established in 1911, but it traces its lineage back to 1856, and it was instrumental in bringing Lincoln into the national spotlight by the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates. And the club, in the present day, leads New York City in political activism for MAGA politics.
Great.
And what do you view as MAGA politics, shortly?
I'll say as quickly as possible. It's
Just stay here.
primarily it's economic nationalism, America first foreign policy, and the remigration of illegal immigrants out of the United States and restricting legal immigration to secure a future for Americans.
Generally, we followed a policy from our current chairman and former President Gavin Wax of national populism, and we really look after the American worker. So that means protecting jobs in the city, getting involved in local city politics. We're massive campaigners. We just put another politician in Staten Island, Frank Morano, we campaigned for. We're doing a busing into Brooklyn campaigning. When Trump was running, we were busing into counties in nearby states that were swing counties and what we call swing states to get votes there and make sure that people knew when, how, and where to vote.
Yeah, and I think you're underselling your importance because I think you are the most important Republican club in the country.
Nothing compares.
Yeah. And you have your yearly gala.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't you also organize the event for Trump in New York?
We
were instrumental in helping to organize several campaign events for Trump in the New York City area, principally and most notably the Madison Square Garden rally. We were instrumental in that, providing volunteers and helping with logistics to manage the crowd and to get people in the building. And in addition to that, the Bronx rally, which was in Cortona Park, which was unprecedented for a Republican candidate to enter the Bronx. The last time that happened was Ronald Reagan, and he wasn't received so well. And Trump came with a huge fanfare, and a lot of people turned out. And then smaller campaign events, specifically Trump visiting a bodega in Harlem, where there was an infamous case where a robbery went wrong. And, essentially somebody wanted to use an EBT card and the clerk denied it. And then that escalated into a death.
That's food stamps.
Yes. Yeah. And we organized a campaign event where Trump went to this bodega, which is another word for a deli.
Corner shop.
Hispanic deli.
Yeah. And that was a big moment for the club as well. So we really did help out the Trump campaign. And finally, when Trump was coming to court in New York City, our club organized large rallies in support of the president when he was facing these bogus charges brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
And you mentioned our gala. So, there was a lull in Trump support after his first term. And during that lull, we stuck by him the whole way through unflinchingly. And we hosted him at our gala, had him speak, and continued to be, as the Rolling Stone profiled us last year, Trump's hometown shock troops.
You had at your gala, at which we, Frederik and I, were present, we were really impressed by the great variety of people were there. You had people from all around the world. You had.
I was very impressed.
Yes, it's hard to describe what kind of people were there, but lots of politicians, artists, influencers, big social media figures, people from the media, from the right-wing media, from the mainstream media. Everyone, and then that really made me realize that the sheer scale of the New York and of the New York Young Republicans Club and your vast network. But obviously, what I also was very impressed by was that this wasn't just a normal Republican Party Congress. This was not like listening to the old Ted Cruz to George W. Bush. It
was actually fun.
Properly, we had a fun night, and it was properly right wing. It was fundamentally different to what I would have expected from a Republican Congress. Why? So you're not only a campaigning machine, but you're also a sort of lobbying machine. What ideals separate you from the old generation of Republicans?
I mean, part of the reason our club's been successful, when it was taken over by the leadership that made it great. This was 2018, 2019. Yeah. It was 70 people. It didn't have a clubhouse. It was a dying organization with a great legacy, but nothing special. The socialization that we emphasize, it's a club with regular things like a wine Wednesday, parties, open bars. We keep everyone lubricated and social the whole way through. Yeah. And that grew membership up to nearly 1,800 members that we have today. So people are first there to have fun. People have met their current and spouses and fiancés at these things. They've made lifelong friends. They've found social circles in the city of people that are actually interesting. So first we became a scene, a social scene. And we've had all sorts of influencers from random TikTokers, people on Instagram. We've had Jeremy Fragrance regularly at events. We've had Martin Shkreli at things. You can name people all day. And then we bring a lot of interesting speakers. Instead of some boring GOP hack with a lobbying group behind him, we bring in an interesting, foreign parliament member or someone who's controversial. It gets us press. People actually want to go and see that. And we make it open bar. So it's fun regardless of why you're there.
Yeah, and I would like to add that we like to say pressure makes diamonds. We are in perhaps the capital of liberalism of the world, New York City. And we are very much a minority. In fact, I think that it's something like we're outnumbered 8-1 Democrat, Republican registered voters in New York City. And because we're in that environment where we're challenged so much, we really have we coalesce and organize in a way that you might not find in a red stronghold like Texas, where people, it's a majority Republican state. People don't feel the need to find their people. In New York City, especially, it's very difficult if you're just living your life in a casual way to find like-minded people. And so people seek out the club, and it is a social organization that is unique because it's in the eye of the storm of the liberal order. And it's also New York City, where some of the best talent in the country and the world go. So we end up having really fantastic members that are leaders in their professional career, and they bring those skills, all volunteer, nobody gets paid, to contribute to the success of the club.
You likely have this in Amsterdam too, where you have some of your country's finest come here for work after college. And when they come here, they may not know anyone. And we are a social circle that people find early on. We have good social media reach now. People find a Republican club, they join it. And now all of a sudden, this guy who maybe came from, some random city in Ohio or little city in Pennsylvania.
Arkansas, yeah.
This guy's from Arkansas.
I'm from Florida.
Yeah, he came from Miami. And they come here, and suddenly it's a lot of fun. They have their circle, and everyone, this is a volunteer organization. We all have day jobs in finance, law, medicine, all sorts of things. Yeah. Our head of social media is a PA in the Bronx, physician's assistant. So,
When Massimo and I visited your gala last December, Trump had just won the election.
He wasn't president yet.
No. Yes.
Yeah, so it's just November was the election, December was the gala.
Our victory gala.
Yeah. It truly felt like that. It was a really great sort of buzz. Everyone was ecstatic. And the thing I felt, and it's something that I think is lacking in Dutch politics, probably even European politics, there was a sense of power. We can do things.
Yes.
And Trump now is doing things. A few months later, he was installed. And I think that was something that's truly unique, because, of course, America being the world hegemon, having power in America really means something.
I'd actually like to go back with what makes us different from, like, a Mitt Romney conservative organization or Republican club. And it's principally is that we're here to win. We're not here to be graceful winners. We're not here to be grateful losers and say the other side did a great job. No, we're here to represent the American people, and they don't have, you know, someone living paycheck to paycheck doesn't have the time to be a grateful loser. You know, they need results, and Trump is the first president, I mean, probably in the lifetimes of not just us, but our parents, maybe even grandparents if they're young enough, of a president actually delivering promises to the benefit, not to the detriment of the American people, versus this sort of, you know, Romney-esque, like, oh, let's just cut taxes and we need smaller government. No, we need to win. That's what matters. Small government doesn't matter if you're not winning.
And during this campaign, Trump and the staff coming in the campaign made a lot of very specific and aggressive promises. A lot of them had shock value to them, though they were sincere, and it takes a lot of work to actually roll them in. He came in with a mandate, and it is now our job to carry out that mandate. And if we don't, as we were joking before, you know, if we don't win in a few years, a lot of people can end up in jail when these people try to get revenge on us.
Yeah, we represent not only the present, but the future of MAGA, because inevitably, after the Trump presidency, we have to keep winning elections. And a lot of our club members we're cultivating to be the future leaders of the MAGA movement.
I would like to ask you why you guys are in the Netherlands now and why you're in Europe. What are you doing here? Are you going to colonize us? What's going to happen?
The international chair.
What brings you to the losing continent?
Yeah, a few years ago, well, it's a Western struggle. It's a European struggle. Americans, you know, Europeans tend to forget that most of us have European roots, and we actually are still very aware of them. Some of us are 4 generations deep in America. Some are 1 or 2. Ian, I think you're nearly colonial.
Yes, I'm like colonial. Yeah, I'm what you would call a heritage American.
Yeah, so I was an Ellis Island American. I'm an Ellis Island American, so about 100 plus years in America. My family, and we had always conducted some international, you know, relationships, and we formalized it into a committee in the last few years. First, we got very active with Hungary and their CPAC happening there.
That's where we met.
Yes, exactly. Many of us felt very strongly about what's going on in Germany. I lived in Germany for a little, and so AFD naturally came, and we just decided to find in every serious European country, every one that matters, who are like us and how we can help them, other populist movements, because we're all fighting the same issues on migration and so many other things. You guys have way worse slave chains than we ever did with the EU. We have an executive branch that has power and can actually do things. You guys are a lot more handicapped, and we also have a military that can just bash around anyone that messes with us. Some smaller countries don't have that. So we're here to help, basically, and exchange ideas, invite you guys to come and collaborate in different ways, because we'll take foreign advice if it makes sense, and we hope to cause a lot of foreign influence. Simple as that.
Very good. But now that you're in power, things are changing, and you can do things. So what has Trump delivered on? What is happening? Yeah. So you know, many people, they just read the Dutch news and they say, oh, the judge just blocked this. Trump is a loser and he's orange. But tell me, seriously, tell me about how is he delivering on the promises?
Internationally or nationally? What do you prefer?
What's most important?
You know, let's start with nationally. Let's talk about migration. Right, Don. What are the current stats?
So I think border crossings, I believe they've fallen 96%.
That's year over year.
Year over year, it's gotten to the point where the daily
Mark. It's in other words, no one's coming in anymore.
Pretty much
instead of over 100,000 a month, it's under 10,000.
Yeah, well, that's actually even less.
Yeah,
like we're talking about.
It's like 300.
It's like 300, and per day it's in the double digits. Sometimes I saw one time it was like 90. Okay. And we're talking about a border that stretches, like 3,000 miles, and it's 90 people.
I visited the border a number of times, and you would see, it's no exaggeration, armies of people flooding across the border, just walking right across the river. And each of these people, they paid a fee to the cartels to be able to do that. You can't cross for free.
Sometimes $5,000 to $10,000 in U.S. dollars they paid to make
sometimes
it here.
15 to 20. I've seen.
And once they get across, by and large, unless they somehow have a plan, they're on their own. And it was very inhumane. And this concept of due process that many of the Democrats are pushing and the activist judges are pushing. What my rebuttal is, what was the due process to allow these people in? They violated the law, and the process that they are due is to be deported. To allow each of them a day in court is just unrealistic. And so for one of the great victories right now, immigration, we're fighting our battles in court. We don't want to just defy the judiciary, but
not too much.
Yeah, not too much.
Eventually, there is talk of ways to get around it, but essentially, we were speaking earlier before we started rolling, New York City was plagued by illegal aliens, and it still is, but the number is noticeably reduced. The large hotels that were housing illegal aliens in cities across the country, especially
and creating more of them. They were reproducing in the hotels by the year mark.
So they are drastically reducing. And speaking of reproducing, I really am hopeful that this common sense change to birthright citizenship from illegal aliens does make it through and is changed.
That would be a great change.
Can you explain for the Dutch viewers what
in America, if you're born in America on American soil, you are a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. So say, for example, Massimo and his wife, she's 9 months pregnant. You probably shouldn't travel in 9 months, but whatever. She goes to America, has birth in America.
Or an anchor baby.
Now that child is an American citizen, and now Massimo and his wife both have a right to stay here because the government can't deport them and just leave the baby. Yeah. But I'd say deport all of them. Deport all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's in bad faith, that shouldn't
count. Of course. We're three guys living in Manhattan. Over the last couple of years, the streets were clogged with migrants. I mean, they would loiter out in the street all day. Many of them were not that violent, but it was just these giant crowds out there. My block had tons of guys on wheelchairs smoking pot all day. Yeah. There were feral kids at like 4 a.m. on a Sunday. There's 8-year-olds running around. Who knows who their parents were? Some parents left and then left their kids there living in the hotels alone, like little kids. There was all kinds of teen pregnancies and things. You could imagine. It was a total.
Ugly.
Well,
it was very ugly.
Third world.
So really quick,
we woke up one morning. All of those people were gone.
Yeah. So really quick to just very briefly add on.
You can just do things.
Where I live in New York, it's very Hispanic, and when this invasion of illegal migrants came, obviously they were housed in Manhattan, but a lot of them, I live in Queens. A lot of them were housed in Queens, and that's why you had a sudden influx of, open, I know in Amsterdam, prostitution's legal. In America, it's not, for any of the Dutch viewers who don't know. Very illegal. We had open air prostitution.
We had a red light district in Queens.
And many of these women, for several
in the
blocks,
windows. Yeah.
Not in the windows, out on the street,
and the windows,
soliciting, and the windows, and the bars. And it was just endemic. And a lot of these women aren't even here of their own free will. There's a lot of human trafficking that comes into it because people just think, they just want a better life. A lot of these people didn't even have a choice to come here.
It had become so normative that women were flying in from Southeast Asia to be here as a tourist for a couple months and sell themselves in Roosevelt Avenue in Queens,
where I live,
and then go back. Yeah.
So you're describing a big change that's happened since the Trump government, new Trump government. But why do you think so? In the first 4 years before Biden, things like this didn't really happen. I think it's because of what your work has been in the years in between.
When Trump first came in, it was a surprise, I think, even to Trump to some degree. And he was a complete political outsider, and D.C. works a certain way, and it took him a long time to figure out.
Massimo.
Very important Italian call.
Exactly. Straight from Milan. It took him a long time to figure out staffing and things. Second time around, he had learned. Staffing has been pretty damn good since he started.
Really, and it's maybe the best government we've had.
Yeah, the efficiency is just through the roof. They know how to get things done,
and they make sure they're not going to betray their president.
But it's also a lot of guys and girls, I don't know, but from your club as well.
Yes, we've sent. There's 4 people I'm thinking of just right now that have started in the last few months. Yeah, in pretty serious positions, from the Department of Homeland Security to White House liaison to the DOJ to Chief of Staff at the FCC to an SBA role. Yeah, really good roles.
I also think that Trump, when he came in the first term, I think he was very naive, like a lot of people who aren't in politics, who are. I mean, he really kind of, usually you start off as like a city councilor or a mayor or something like that. He went from being
Businessman
not
to
a no one,
president.
but a businessman to the president of the United States. And, you know, people think, oh, it comes with a lot of power. Sure, but I think Putin said this. He's like, whenever there's a new president, he's like, I've seen 8. And he goes, there are men in suits who come and tell them how things work.
Yeah.
And for the past, you know, easily the past 60 years, these men in suits, different generations, but the same message. We own you, and we control the puppet strings, not you. You're just the guy who speaks for us. And
People call it the swamp, the deep state.
The deep state,
lobbies.
the swamp. Yeah. And I think Trump, although not a part of that, was sort of constrained by that, you know, through, you know, people like Mike Pence, who, in my opinion, I think is a traitor to the country. But, you know, he was constrained by these people who weren't MAGA, who didn't love the country that Trump is fighting for and that we're fighting for. They wanted business as usual, and I think the second admin has shed all that, the shackles of the deep state, of the swamp.
And he never worked with them before, so he never worked with Mike Pence before becoming president, I think. So there was no experience. He didn't know how these people would act, and then you're suddenly president, and you think, wow, I'm surrounded by idiots who just think I'm their puppet and who try to exercise power over me instead of being my tools to exercise my power.
Yeah.
Or he brought people in that seemed good, but then got very timid once the pressure was put on the administration in the first.
You never need scared people around power.
People forget about what Rex Tillerson, Jeff Sessions, remember all of them? They were gone quick. Scaramucci.
Well, and when we started off this section, you said you can just do things when you understand how to wield power. And so Trump 2.0 understands that better than ever. And with this well-oiled machine in place, which is his administration, he's finally got this staff and the team to understand when he says something, it actually happens. Whereas last time he would say something and nothing would
sometimes
would
they'd go against it.
or they would go against it.
Or he's learned how to punish that too.
This is an important lesson that, you know, especially with the migration question, which I think is the aside from falling birth rates, the existential question for the West is something that we hope will rub off on our European counterparts, the courage to follow through with some of these deportation policies.
Well, we've seen in the Netherlands, we've had a sort of the most, it's described itself as the most right-wing government ever, and we've had a net immigration of 130,000. 300,000 people came in, not the ones we want. 200,000 people left, the ones we want. So we still have this replacement going on, this ethnic replacement of our own country, even under the most right-wing government. It's just because these people, they don't know how to act. Yeah. But what's very important, I think, is what you said in the beginning is if we've seen how Biden uses judges to intimidate opposition. If you lose after this election, you're all going to end up in jail. And not because you did something illegal, but because they will make something up to put you in jail. How are you going to make this power endure? To make this change endure?
Yeah, I think I'll answer, and then if they want to add anything. I think, one, it's delivering promises made, promises kept, is delivering what, if Trump does exactly what he says, the Republican Party will win at least until someone messes up for the next 2 generations, I think. I strongly believe that. If we get rid of these illegal immigrants who, you know, are destroying our country, we lower legal immigration to protect American workers, and we bring our jobs back here, we start producing
with
things. We start making things. It's not just doing, it's also making things, which is part of the Trump administration.
We are a massive country with insane amounts of resources. We're an oil power even, and we barely use it. We have a huge population that isn't illegal, over 300 million people. When we used to be a massive producer of everything from steel to high-end technologies, a lot of it's been outsourced. Even like, why are we getting our semiconductors from Taiwan? Yeah. That could be bombed by China any day, you know?
Well, actually, you mentioned Taiwan just really quickly. Taiwan just shut down their last nuclear reactor, and now they're reliant on LNG. Yeah. That's transported by ship
America.
From America. So now Taiwan is totally isolated, but I think he makes a good point. Like, America used to produce our own semiconductors. They were some of the best in the world, and we shut it off. The best. we shut it down because of people like, you know, like Ronald Reagan, who sold this myth to the American people that, oh, well, it will be more efficient and it will be it will make things cheaper. And the question that we as a country, and I think as a civilization, both in the United States and in Europe, have to ask ourselves is, what has this material appetite for goods, what has it gotten us? You know, what has it produced? Since the fall of the Soviet Union, we've had, you know, basically a flourishing of material appetite. It's just increased and grown and grown and grown.
Ever-watched Hoarders?
Yeah.
It's
but
just
to what end?
It's an expropriation mechanism. You just take your
Legacy.
You take your legacy, take what's from the previous generation, and you sell it overboard.
Yeah.
You sell it to these for a temporary increase in living standard.
You mentioned Ronald Reagan doing all these things, and he's traditionally on the Republican right being seen as a hero. Yeah. How do you, I have a feeling that you are part of a different generation of new Republicans. How do you view yourself, and how do you contrast that to the old Republicans?
Reagan was a phenomenon. I mean, I didn't live through it, so I'll speak from what I know about his term. He gave a lot of forgiveness to migrants. He actually attacked our gun rights, and other things. He really wasn't that great. I actually like Nixon in some ways more, though Nixon also attacked a few things I didn't like. But so in truth, if you're a neocon, yeah, you love your Bush, Reagan, you know, shirts, things like that. But in the U.S., we have two parties. One party's left, one party is right. They happen to be called Republican and Democratic. They're kind of nebulous terms, obviously. We're a federal republic. We've always been that. So we're you know, democracy is kind of a weird word to use in our context. The truth is, a new right has come in to take over the traditionally right party, and it's a right that actually is based on paleo-conservative and older values, pre-French Revolution sort of thinking.
And also, really quick, to add context to the Reagan administration, most people don't know this, especially outside of the United States, but many Americans, when the Democrats talk about amnesty for illegal immigrants, Ronald Reagan was the first president to give amnesty to illegal immigrants. He gave amnesty to, the government said it was only 300,000 hard-working illegal immigrants, and it turned out to be 3 million. And then that turned California into a purple state. The last time we won it, I believe, was in '96 with Bush Sr. No, it was '92.
Yeah, it was 92.
Yeah. 92, and we've never won it since. And now it's the most overwhelmingly blue state, and we're talking about a state of like 50 million people or something like that.
Well,
yeah, Mexifornia, and that was the impetus of it. So when a lot of the tactics the Democrats use, the neocons also used. Ronald Reagan introduced, you know, a lot of regulations on gun usage, restricting our Second Amendment. And it was because it came from the right that sort of thing wasn't attacked from the right.
Yeah. This will sound crazy to people in Europe, but, you know, it was in 1986 under Reagan that we had our rights to machine guns severely limited.
Which is terrible. You should shoot machine guns. They're great.
I want to jump real quick to what's different about this new party. The MAGA movement, it's a broad coalition that brings together lots of disaffected parts of the country, and you could spend a long time talking about the different parts of it. But I want to emphasize that it's quite young, and that young men and young people in the United States are trending to the right, and these are centered around Main Street issues like being able to own a home, being able to have a job that gives a living wage, to get your piece of the American dream. And to sustain this, we have to do two things. We have to succeed in delivering the promises in this administration, and then to come up with a battle plan for the next election cycle to maintain power. And it's really fascinating to see what's going on in the Democrat Party. They're having their inter-party civil war that we had already because of Trump. And so you can see the Democrat Party is leaderless. Old leaders like Chuck Schumer are being pushed aside by these younger, crazier
he's somehow still alive,
like Jasmine Crockett. And if we can succeed in delivering on promises that Trump made, we can continue pushing these 80-20 issues. What that means is issues that the American public overwhelmingly support, like not having men and women's sports, or reshoring industry,
not mutilating children,
or deporting illegal immigrants, making life more affordable. These are issues that the Democrats are pushing against. It's incredible. You see Democrats going out and putting themselves in the way of ICE to stop the deportation of gang members who have violent criminal records. It's bizarre, but it's hopefully will work in our favor that we're making them defend the indefensible, men and women's sports, illegal aliens, and it's our challenge because a lot of these voters came out because Trump was on the ticket. It's our challenge in the next election cycle. Once we deliver on the promises in this administration, to maintain that enthusiasm to bring about another victory.
That's good. And the most important thing is not only, so the first thing is you're right, and that's essential. But the second thing is you're powerful. And the third thing is you're not scared. So if you have those three things, I think you can get a lot done and push through with doing what's good for the country and what will be good for generations to come.
Yes, this is a very good lesson for the Netherlands. And also we touched on the old right versus the new right. And then as we also have these neocon people with neocon ideas who still cling on to the Bush administration and Ronald Reagan. We know these people a lot. They've been in our organization many years ago, but we've...
They left.
They left.
For some reason.
Yeah, no idea why.
Good
but
job.
It's very good because we live, even though we don't like it, we live in this American shadow. So we are influenced still by your politics, culture, and everything. And we have to break away in the Netherlands, but also in Europe, from these old right-wing ideas that brought us in this mess we are in right now. And we gotta pick ourselves up and get the hell out of there, because otherwise there won't be a Europe to fight for. There won't be an America to fight for. The whole world will just become a third world.
It'll become one big bazaar.
Yeah. Bizarre, yes.
We regularly say America is conquered land. All of our ancestors came and took it over. There were some native tribes. They died fairly quickly, or they integrated in. You guys are our ancestral homeland. I'm not personally Dutch. Our vice chairman actually is colonial Dutch stock in America, but I am half Italian. And when I get more upset often when I hear about illegal immigration into Italy than I do about the U.S. because the U.S. wanted us reconquer back, but Italy is our ancestral homeland. It's our special place.
It's the only home we have.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's gone, what do you have? You lose your identity, and if you lose your identity, you lose everything else.
Well, something I wanted to really point out actually is in some ways, Europe is even more entrenched in like globalism, liberalism, whatever you want to call it, than the United States, even though we're the ones who exported it to you. Yeah. But
but now that the US changed its direction, Europe is redefining its identity as a sort of small village resisting normalcy, resisting common sense.
Like in some ways, Germany will fight harder for American liberalism and will destroy itself in service to it when America's like, you can stop hanging yourself with that rope. Like, you don't have to do this anymore. Like, you're okay. And they're like, no, I have to do this. You don't know what you're talking about.
We have to shut down all of our coal power.
The U.S. in a way is remote too. We have two great generals, General Atlantic and General Pacific, that also keep things away from us a bit more. The Mediterranean Sea is not as big a buffer.
It's true.
One
more thing we have to touch on before we end this. We talked about we only have one home. If we lose that, we have nothing. We talked about the things that Trump did, and something that combines this is when the South African president went to Donald Trump to probably just beg for money. But instead of begging for money, he had to sit and listen to Trump giving him a lecture on what he's doing wrong in his country, and that is killing whites just because they're whites and they're colonizers and they don't belong in South Africa. And we've had Joost Strijdom, the CEO of Oranje,
very good man,
the self-sufficient village in the desert of.
Well, they've had him too, actually.
Yeah. But we've had him here in this podcast, and now we have you guys, so we have to talk about a subject. So when you saw this on the news, what did you think?
The GOP, and specifically our club, has been speaking to South Africans, and Dr. Ernst Rutz, for example, who was running AfriForum and the Afrikaner Foundation, I think he first spoke at our club at an event like 2 years ago. Yeah. So we've been following the kill the boer and pharma tech issues for a while. That is a Dutch Afrikaner population that has had a media blackout for 30 years now post-apartheid, and they are part of the West and part of European history. They're one of the only areas of the African colonies that actually maintained its colonial population, and they've been there as long as some of our colonial population's been in America. So we understand them in that regard. And we had, yes, a few months ago, Joost, actually, I believe it was the first time the Oranje movement has ever done a public event in the United States.
No, ever in the entire world. In
the entire world, it was done at our clubhouse in Manhattan this March.
Hold on.
And we made it very clear whose side we were on, and it trickled right through the administration with our help and the help of others. And as you can see, it's been acted on.
Well, I think it's even worse than a media blackout, because it's not just they weren't talking about it. They were talking about it,
justifying
but they were justifying it. They were saying either one, this isn't happening, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, or two, this is happening and this is good because they're evil white people. Look at apartheid, boo-hoo, this is terrible. They deserve this, and the question, or rather, what we see in South Africa happening is what will happen to the United States. We saw that we had a little taste of this during the George Floyd race riots. This is not just South Africa. Yeah. This is, and we had a South Africa 40 years ago, and it was called Rhodesia, and look what happened to them.
Horrible.
They will turn South Africa into another Zimbabwe, and when they're not going to be done with the southern tip of Africa, they're going to export that to the United States. Yes. They're going to export that to Europe, and then pretty soon we'll all be Zimbabwe.
We have a lot of young men.
Win or lose situation.
We have a lot of young men in our club whose parents were born in Salisbury and were born in South Africa and were born in Angola even. And we even have a guy in his 20s in the club who came from Zimbabwe when he was 8.
As a refugee.
Yeah, as a refugee. Because he was kidnapped as a kid.
Yeah.
You cannot run a society on equity. It has to be equal. Everyone treated equally under the law, but with meritocracy and law and order. The rebuttal of the South Africans in the White House was that, crime is bad everywhere. It's not. Everyone's in danger at all times. It's not just the white farmers. That was their rebuttal, which was not any better than what our allegations are. And so, essentially, this is what we're fighting against in Harvard University right now. This is what we've been fighting against with the radical left. They want to reshuffle wealth in society for equity, not equality. And that's an important distinction. And it will fail, as it has failed in South Africa and Rhodesia. And hopefully this is a lesson that we can learn from and avoid. And we're correcting course now.
No one should become a minority in their own country, because this is what happens. And you only can run a proper democracy when you have a homogeneous population. Otherwise, it's going to be pure chaos. And
the Greeks said it first, yeah.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm. They said, Aristotle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing is what we got to end on is that winning is very important, and Massimo has a great motto which he thought about many years ago, and it is
winning is more important than participating.
And we gotta win.
In school you learn the opposite. They say, it's more important to participate than win. It's a lie, and it's made to keep you small. You have to win, you have to defeat your enemies and take power and keep power.
We have to win in America, we have to win in the Netherlands, we have to win in Europe. Thank you guys so much for being here. We unfortunately have to end this. Normally we talk for hours on this podcast,
because
but
we're
not
going
now.
to our gala.
Yeah, because we're going to our gala now.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys will have an amazing night. We can't wait. Now we're going to the boat and have a nice boat ride through the Amsterdam Canal. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to continue this. Unfortunately for you guys, we're not continuing this on camera, but maybe next time we have more time to discuss things in more depth. So thank you so much also for joining into Feverdream Café, Koortsdroom Café. Heel erg bedankt. Thank you very much. See you next time.